It's great to be back. What's up, everybody? It's Phil, back with another episode of Unfiltered. Before I get into my video here, I want you to do me a favor. You're going to see a little button down there that says subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that button. And also hit the like button. Tell me how you like this video. Yeah. So go ahead and do that. And there's probably going to be an overlay on the screen telling you to do it right now. Anyway, I'm happy to be back. I took a little bit of time off just so I could kind of collect my thoughts, get my head together, and get back into doing YouTube again. It's been a while. I know, probably close to about 3 or 4 months. But yeah, this is the beginning. So I wanted to come back today to talk about something I kind of mentioned before, and that is about mental health. And, you know, I've already talked about my self-care routine and my struggles with mental health and all of that. So those are in other videos. I'll link those in the description down the bottom. But I wanted to talk today, and it's about basically the notion that you can pray away mental health issues. So if you're like me, you grew up in a black household or African American household. I shouldn't just say black like that, but if you grew up in an African American household, you probably heard, like, if you had any issues where you were feeling like angry or upset, which were probably actually your, you know, beginning stages of, I guess, somewhat anxiety and depression. You may remember, like, your parents may tell you, and even still some parents do it now, but they'll tell you, you know, oh, you just need to pray on it, or, you know, it's all in your head, and, you know, it all can be solved by prayer or by, you know, using faith. So I've had kind of my dealings with religion over the past maybe 5 or 6 years, where I believe in God and I believe in, you know, the afterlife and things of that nature, but I don't necessarily always go to church. Part of that rationale for me was because I went to Catholic school my entire childhood, basically kindergarten through age 12. I went to Catholic school, so I kind of got jaded with going to church. And there's, you know, I don't give anyone hell for going to church or believing in God, and, you know, everybody has their reasons for why they go to church, just like everybody has their reasons why they don't. For me, like I say, my reason is that I've pretty much grown a little bit tired of it. And, you know, my mom isn't the biggest fan of me being like that, whereas I think Obama was still president the last time I went to church. So that'll, or at least I at least sat in on a complete service. So that'll give you some idea as to where I am on that. But there's this feeling that, you know, us as African Americans, we don't take care of our mental health, and that's something that really does have to change. The stigma that, you know, you're crazy or psycho or nuts for, you know, thinking that your feelings aren't valid about depression. Like, I started going to therapy almost 3 months ago now, and the first thing that my therapist told me was she was going to ingrain it in me to believe or remember that all of my feelings are always going to be valid. And this is part of the reason why I wanted to get into this, was because, you know, I think we gotta drop that habit of telling somebody or telling, you know, our family members, oh, you're okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with you. Just go pray, sit down, leave it to God and all of that. It's understood, but if you're fighting your demons, you know, yes, faith will help you. And there are articles out there that admit faith will help you. But you can't just, you know, ignore the warning signs for everything else. You know, we have celebrities that go and overdose or do, or on the verge of killing themselves, all because they don't feel like they have a way out of it. And I think in the African American community, we have a hard time, you know, because, and it's not to say it and it's going to come out this way, but we're always taught that, or we were always taught that, mental health issues or, having depression or anxiety and things like that, those are white issues. No, everybody gets anxious. Everyone has depression. Everyone feels that way. And I think it's just how our parents were brought up, uh, is why they couldn't deal with us on that issue. And that's why so many of us that are now, 25 to 30 are in, you know, in therapy or in counseling. And it's almost sad because if you think about all of the stuff that we, like I said, as 25 to 30-year-olds are going through, housing crisis, a lot of us are still living at home with our parents because it's hard to buy a house now. It's hard to, find a job straight out of college. And, all of that does weigh on you from time to time. And it's not appropriate to sit there and tell someone, oh, your thoughts on this aren't valid. Just go pray, go sit down. And, I think we have to open that dialogue a little bit better to where people don't feel as anxious to talk about, mental health. And I know I've talked about it probably in several videos on here. And I hate that that's somewhat what my channel has like become, where I'm just sitting here talking about my mental health. But it was just a thought that it kind of popped into my head today, and I was like, what if I can say something? I just want to see what everyone else is feeling about it, and maybe if others can point me in the directions of videos or other places where people have had that same experience where they feel like they were told. And I will say, and not to cut myself off there in mid-sentence, but I will say my parents never told me, just pray on it. When I told my mom and dad that I wanted to go to therapy, they were okay. Yeah, I told them that I wasn't feeling, as confident in myself as I could have. And they said, okay, and my insurance takes care of it, so I'm not, paying for it. My medicine is also covered by it. I'm on 10 milligram Alexapro now, so I'm happy, and I can feel a difference from when I was on the 5 milligram. So, my mental health is getting a lot better, but it's not that easy for everyone else, and maybe I think where our biggest issue lies is in mental health resources. And especially in the African American community, I will say over the last maybe 2 or 3 years, we've gotten a lot better with, opening up a little bit, saying, hey, you good? Or, hey, do you want to talk about this? And it's not the easiest thing in the world for men to talk about to start with, no matter what color you are. Because we're always brought along to say, we're going to be okay. And we're ingrained to believe that crying or depression or suicidal thoughts are, kind of stuff that shouldn't happen to men. But the sad fact of the matter is it does, and it happens a lot more than some people think so. But I think it opens up the question of why we need to, why can't we get our older generations to understand it, because that's where that whole thought was, ingrained, that, we can't get help for that, or, there's no need to get help, you'll be strong and get through it and don't fight with it. And, you see it a lot in like movies and stuff like that where it bites on a character where, they're supposed to be this jock character, but deep down inside they didn't want to be that. But it was just how their parents, kind of made them act. And you think that that's all Hollywood smoke and mirrors, but it honestly happens. But it's time that we open up the door a little bit more to where we don't have to, wait until it's too late, where we're two steps before killing ourselves or, self-harming. And especially for us men that are, becoming dads, it's like you want to be there for your child, but you also sometimes get that feeling where you don't want to be there. And it's okay to not, it's okay to have that feeling, but as long as you take care of that feeling, don't just let that linger, because one thought becomes a million and a million away on you until something sad happens, and we don't want to ever get that far. And I think that's a good ending point. Just take care of your mental health, because you really only get one shot at this. I don't care what your thoughts on the afterlife are, but there is no going back. And especially if you're looking forward to the future and how your future is going to go. Don't end your story too soon because you didn't want to get help. So yeah, that's it. I promise eventually one of these days I'm going to have a good video. Something funny. But thank you guys for listening. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We will see you when we see you. Who is we? I guess it's me and me. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will catch you when I catch you. And yeah, so if you see some stuff come up over my face, watch those videos too, because those need views. Anyway, peace.